Yo, what is going on, guys? Glad to see you back here for another one. And today I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk to you about, along with showing you guys what is behind the camera. So let's get started.
Go back.
So I ran into a couple of hiccups when I was assembling the engine. Namely, the exhaust cam sprocket bolts did not want to be reused. So I had to run out to the junkyard and grab a couple. That was easy. I already had this thing halfway pulled apart before, so. Yeah. Do I take the sprocket too for fun? That's why I'm here. Oh, I got it. And while I was out there, I noticed this crazy, backhoe crane thingy that was grabbing cars and moving them around, and I want to show you that here. Well, long story short, I got the bolts and obviously I got the engine together because there's no way it's going to stay apart, right? And so that problem was short-lived. Another issue I ran into was FedEx took forever to get parts to me. FedEx has been very strange lately. If you guys are shipping anything, use UPS or USPS. Don't use FedEx. Sorry, FedEx. That was that, and then the last problem that I ran into, which I just today remedied, but it wasn't exactly related to the build itself. It's one of the next steps coming up. One of the bolts that connects the transmission to the engine has, take a look here. You can see there's some aluminum inside of the threads. I only have 3 of 4 arms on my engine stand connected to my engine, and now that I have a whole bunch of stuff bolted to it, I want to get that 4th arm on there to make sure that it's really sturdy. So this is the bolt for that 4th arm, and to fix that, because this will not thread all the way in, I'll destroy the threads in my block if I try to thread this in. So to fix this, I went down to Harbor Freight, and for $15, okay, $15, so you got this 40-piece tap and die set. This is metric, okay, comes with everything all the way up to M12, which is really nice. This bolt is an M10 1.5 thread per millimeter, and the way that you would check for that, because you don't want to use the wrong bit on this to fix it, you'll take a caliper and you put it around the threads like this, and then you close it, slide it out, and you can see 9.8. So this is 10 millimeters, so this is M10. And this kit comes with a little thingy here to check for the threads. So you can pull these out, and it has a whole bunch of different numbers. I can see 1.75, I'm reading it backwards, 1.75, 1.5. So you take these teeth, you put them in here to the threads, and you can see, bam, 1.5. So this is M10 1.5. Then you can grab your little, I don't know if this is the tap or if this is the die. If I do some logic, I could figure it out, I'm sure. But regardless, you take this bit here, and you put the bolt, you thread it in. You go all the way down, and then it cleans out the threads, and it'll remove that stuff that's in there. So if you guys run into any problems like that, 15 bucks at Harbor Freight. You can't beat it. I mean, this may not last super long, but it'll get you out of the pinch. And if you take care of it, make sure you lubricate everything as you're doing it, it might last a while. So I just figured I'd share that with you guys because I'm sure if you guys are pulling these old engines apart, you'll run into this problem.
Also note that I did have to fix the threads in the oil pan too, so I had to use a tap for that.
So the next quick thing I want to share with you is what a timing chain guide looks like after it's been worn in. So I don't have a picture of a new timing guide because they're all in my engine now, but this is what it looks like. So you can see there's just grooves in it. That's normal wear. It's for the oil pump chain. And this is the top guide for the timing chain over the top of the cams. You can see our nice F for front. But yeah, so that's what it looks like. And then imagine it would just be perfectly flat. So I hope the light is not being crazy, but yeah, you can see the grooves that are in it. So that's what it looks like when it's worn, and then flat is new. So I figured I'd share that with you guys because I hadn't seen that before. Next, let's take a look at the engine. So there it is. Oops. There's our completed engine. It looks great. It looks like an actual engine now. This valve cover, I don't know how much life is left in this valve cover. I'm seeing a couple of spots where it's kind of bubbled up. Nothing crazy on the outside, it's just some paint's chipping up. But let's see if we can look in close here, if I can find a spot. Here we go. So you can see the magnesium's actually like bubbling up a little bit, like that. Here we go in the back. You see this here. It's possible I might have to get another valve cover in the future. This is gonna work for now though. The biggest pain with this was the upper timing cover. This upper timing cover was a real pain because of underneath of that bolt right there. There's the pin that, remember back in the day when I had to get a pry bar and everything and I had to freaking slam that thing out because that guide is stuck in the head right there with that pin. So that pin, even if you just lightly tap it in with a hammer, which is not the correct way to do it, but it's the way I did it, you'll end up with the edges of it kind of having a little bit of like a flat, you know, sticking out the sides. So it's not a perfect circle anymore. It's been flattened out, like mushroomed out a little bit. And so you need to get a file and file it down around the edges and make sure it's circular again, and then it'll slide into that hole. So that'll be in the build video for this. I just wanted to share that with you guys now. This upper timing cover is not great, so just heads up on that. Everything else is relatively simple though. Everything else is pretty easy. Just tedious. Just make sure that you're using the right bolts, make sure that you're not doing anything crazy. And yo, shout out to me for this. Look at this great diagram. I had no problem at all figuring out what bolts went where. Like you can see the oil filter, I already grabbed those bolts. There's the bracket right here, which is right there behind the oil pump, that bracket. And then the other, so this is the driver's side or the left side of the engine, and then that's the passenger side or the right side of the engine over there, and you can see the exhaust manifold, and there's different bolts and things. And then that question mark, I still don't know what that is. That goes over here. I don't know what that is. I don't remember what came out of there, but I'm sure I'll figure that out later. But yeah, so definitely remember when you're taking your engine apart or anything apart and it has a whole bunch of bolts, do a diagram like that. Like, I'm sure that you've got some cardboard laying around or something. Something else that's cool, look at all these engine parts that I've had to pull out of the corner from over here. And the old valve cover sitting over there. I actually had to pull all these boxes out and start digging through parts to get this back together. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy actually having this engine go together and have parts actually going back into this instead of like, I don't know, this is just nuts. I've been waiting to do this for years. So anyways, let's move along. Hey, if you guys are liking this, hit that like button for me, okay? Hit that like button on this video, please. I would greatly appreciate it. Okay. So after I get the video uploaded on putting the engine together, the next thing that I'm going to need to tackle is putting all the peripherals onto the engine. So that's going to be water pump, alternator, power steering pump, things like that. Some stuff is getting deleted. I'm not going to put the air pump back on. I'm not going to run the EGR. And I'm sure there's a few other things that aren't going to be going on this here. Something else that I wanted to do that I'm not going to do, there's a few things like that on this engine, like the oil squirters. I'm not going to run those, obviously. I wanted to run 6 coils for the 6 plugs and then have the Mega Squirt run the 6 coils, which wouldn't be a problem. However, looking at the valve cover and kind of figuring things up in my head, it's possible to do, but that would increase the cost of the build relatively significantly. It's harder than just slapping coils in and then running it with Mega Squirt because the coils physically won't fit into the valve cover. So I would have to get different coils that would fit in. Really, that's the hardest part. And then, you know, plugs that would run back to the ECU, which isn't a problem, but it's the buying 6 more coils. That's going to be like, what, 150 bucks, something like that, maybe even more. I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to run all of the NGK ignition system that I had on here before, and then, which is a wasted spark. So the M104 runs on a wasted spark if it's not distributor. Back in the day, it was a distributor. And I think so, at least, unless that was M103. Regardless, so you got 3 coils, and it runs all 6 cylinders. And as long as you're not hitting high RPM, you know, you're not going over like 9, 10K RPM, it shouldn't be a problem. From what I understand, you start running in, if you start going high rev with wasted spark, your spark plug coils have to run twice as fast as normal. And so to them, they're having to spark at 10K RPM 20,000 times a minute. And you get to a point where you don't have enough time to recharge the coil to pulse the spark, and you get weak spark, which can lead to either incomplete burn or uneven burn, or possibly knock if it doesn't ignite the whole mixture. So anyways, long story short, I don't plan on going very high with the revs. I'm just going to run stock revs for now. As you guys know, I didn't upgrade the head or anything like that. It's just going to run, I think, what is that, like 7K, something like that. I'm not going to go over 7K, which is fine. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. None whatsoever. So that is what's going on with the ignition system, because I'm pretty sure I mentioned that before, that I wanted to go to 6 coils for the 6 plugs. So anyways, coming back, once I'm done with all the peripherals around the engine, the next thing that I'm going to need to tackle is the transmission. So the transmission, I had a problem with it where, and apparently this is a relatively common problem with the 722.6 transmission, the conductor plate inside stops connecting very well to the solenoids, and you get sporadic shifting. So that could be, in my case, I had sometimes the shifting, it would chatter a little bit. Sometimes it would not want to shift under high load. Sometimes I would have to mess with it just to get it to shift. Like I would have to hit the gas, let off, and eventually it would finally shift. A whole bunch of stuff that doesn't say that the clutch packs or anything have a problem, but that whatever's controlling the transmission isn't giving signal or what have you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take out the valve body and rebuild it. I'm just going to clean it and rebuild it. That should just be a one-day thing. I'll do a video on that for you guys so you can see the whole teardown and rebuild of that, because that's going to be pretty interesting. And then I'll replace the conductor plate, and I'm not sure if I'm going to replace the solenoids. I'm sure you can just hit them with 12 volts and just see how quickly they react. And if there's any of them that are slow, you can replace. I don't know enough yet. I need to do more research. But I will go through that whole thing to make sure that you guys also understand what you need to do in case if you're having problems with your auto transmission. Then after the transmission, I'm going to change the rear diff oil. I might pull out the rear half shafts, the half axles back there. I think that the bearings in them are starting to go bad. Sometimes when I would shift from reverse to drive, I would hear a clink, and I think that's those axles having a little bit of play in them. I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to pull those out and take a look at them. It also could be, it could be a number of things, but I'm pretty sure that's what the problem is. That shouldn't be too bad. I should be able to get new bearings to replace that inside of there, or get new ones from the junkyard. Maybe I can get some online. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'll just run with the ones I've got, even if they are starting to go a little bit bad. Who knows? But after that, I just need to clean the engine bay and then get the engine and transmission mounted up to each other and get them into the car. And then at that point, I can start mocking up the turbo manifold and everything like that, get that all welded up. I still need to buy the cold side of the turbo system and the intercooler and such. I still need to buy the engine computer and the fuel injectors, but there's not a lot left with this build. There's only a few more steps left, which means a few more videos for you guys coming up. And that's going to be it. This car's going to be together. I am super excited for that. I think I probably need to put in about $1,200, $1,400 more dollars, something like that. So I'll have to figure out where that's going to come from. But once I got it, I got it. So there's the update for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, if you like this content, leave a like for me. And also comment down below with anything that you'd like to see, any questions you might have, or if you just generally like the video. Also, subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. And hit me up on Snapchat. For anybody who already has me on Snapchat and anybody who doesn't, you guys can actually message me over there. I have my notifications turned off so you can't blow up my phone and like call me in the middle of the day and I'll get, you know, bombarded. But if you guys have something you want to say or just like, oh, that's cool, or hey, what's up, whatever, hit me up over there. I'm open to it. I left that open for you guys on purpose. Anyways, thanks a lot, and I will see you next time.